I don't know about you, but for me, these little guys, Apple AirPods and Apple AirPods Pro, have become one of my favorite pieces of technology I've ever owned. In this video, I'm going to explain how the AirPods 3, which have been released in October 2021, and the AirPods Pro compared to each other for features helping people with tinnitus, ringing in the ears, and hearing loss as a hearing aid. It's taken some time and consideration for me to come up with my thoughts and viewpoints on which of these are best for tinnitus and which of these are best for hearing loss. To make this easier for you guys, underneath the video I have some timestamps, so if you want to watch just the tinnitus section or just the hearing aid section, you can find those timestamps in the description and have the best experience. My name is Dr. Ben Thompson. A little bit about me is that I'm an audiologist. That means I'm a doctor specializing in tinnitus and hearing loss. I spent most of my time in the San Francisco Bay Area and completed my residency at UCSF, which is a major hospital in the University of California network. While I was working at UCSF, I noticed that my strongest passion in our field was for telehealth and tinnitus management. Of course, as an audiologist, I had a lot of experience with hearing aids and hearing loss as well. Years later, I went on to start my own company called Pure Tinnitus. After about a year and a half, we've rebranded our name to treblehealth, and today we offer online services for hearing loss and tinnitus. Let's get ahead with today's video and explain why I recommend the AirPods 3 for tinnitus for those who have hearing in the normal range, and why I recommend the AirPods Pro for those who have some degree of hearing loss who are looking to use the hearing aid function through transparency mode. Please do watch the whole video. It means a lot to me and it helps promote the video on YouTube. Also, on that note, if you find that thumbs up button, that's the equivalent of giving a little applause or simply saying thank you. So every thumbs up I see, I interpret that as someone of you who's watching saying thank you. Now let's explain the difference between the AirPods Pro and the AirPods 3, specifically how it affects tinnitus. First, we must mention that the Apple AirPods Pro occlude or block the ear. So they have this rubber tip at the end, and that means that all the sound coming through your ear is processed. It's processed through the electronics of this device. The AirPods 3 have this hard plastic coating which do not fully occlude the ear and create this semi-open fit style, which means that ambient sound from around you is coming into your ears at the same time that the AirPods 3 are playing whatever you're listening to. The AirPods Pro have something called transparency mode, and that means the microphones on the device itself are picking up the sounds around you, and you can process that to hear it with more clarity when you are occluding your ear with the AirPods Pro. We'll talk about why that transparency mode is so important if you have hearing loss. For the AirPods 3, there is no transparency mode. That's very key. There is no transparency mode for the AirPods 3. Another important and very relevant update for this video is that around September 2021, there was an iOS 15 update that allowed for what's called background sounds. Now, through Apple, through the settings of your iPhone, you can activate something that's called background sounds. I was so happy to see that the background sounds was included because this means that it's another way to have sound therapy either from your phone, from your AirPods, or through headphones, and we need more sound therapy. So that was great to see, and I give it 2 thumbs up for including the background sounds, which we'll get into in just a moment. Now this section will focus on tinnitus, one of my favorite subjects, a rather mysterious medical condition, and something that I have a lot of passion for helping individuals manage. At times, tinnitus can get softer. Many times, tinnitus can reduce in your brain's perception, your brain automatically tuning it out over time, and that state is called habituation. So using sound therapy is an important part of managing tinnitus, and of course, when we're looking at AirPods and other forms of ear level devices, it's all about sound therapy. I recommend the AirPods 3 for someone who has hearing in the normal range or just a mild hearing loss if they're planning to use these for sound therapy. I'm not just telling this to you guys because I read something on a data sheet. I've been testing these in my ears, wearing them around, using them for over a day. The important thing to explain here is that this hard plastic coating creates this open style fitting on the AirPod 3 so that when it's in my ear, it's not fully blocking my ear and it does not occlude or change the sound quality of my own voice in the way that classic Bluetooth earbuds, headphones, or the AirPods Pro does. So this semi-open fitting means that I can listen to background sounds through the AirPods. I can listen to sound therapy streaming from my phone, and I'm also able to hear some of the ambient sound around me without completely occluding or blocking my ear canals, which changes my own voice and usually makes tinnitus louder when you completely block the ears to the ambient sound around you. When I do block the ears completely, like the AirPods Pro with this soft tip, by the way, which is very comfortable, then it's creating something called the occlusion effect. When I block my ear canal, my own voice changes. I'm not able to hear ambient sound around me. And personally, I don't recommend this for someone who has tinnitus. Think about the gold standard of sound therapy on the ears. Those would be hearing aids. Well, hearing aids, they go in your ear canal, but they do not completely block your ear canal in most cases. Usually they have this rubber tip, which has these little holes in it, and that allows natural ambient sound to come in and out. Well, the AirPods Pro, which have that transparency mode, unfortunately do not have an open fitting. They have what's called the closed fitting. The AirPods 3, on the other hand, they have a semi-open fitting, meaning that you're still able to hear ambient sound around you. Are the AirPods 3 any better than hearing aids for sound therapy? No. Because this has a battery life of 6 hours, because this does block a good portion of your ear canal, then it's likely not as sustainable long-term for a tinnitus retraining sound therapy plan as hearing aids or ear level sound generators that have holes that go in the ear canal. That said, using AirPods 3 does have a place in your sound therapy plan if you're managing tinnitus, because you're likely already using some form of headphone to communicate with your family, with your friends, while you're at work, going online, watching YouTube videos. By the way, if you're not already, please find that subscribe button, and I would appreciate you joining our community here. Whatever you're using your AirPods for, that audio coming in will be a big part of your life. And using sound therapy during your day, whether that's white noise, pink noise, ocean sounds, river, whatever app you use for tinnitus sound therapy, you can stream that through this AirPod, and then you can still hear the ambient sound around you. So that's much preferred than the AirPods Pro, which blocks your ear, and then all the sound you're hearing is processed electronic sound. As I said earlier, the new Apple settings do have something called background noise. You can think of this as a tinnitus sound therapy feature. So let's listen to some of them together. And first one here is balanced noise. Well, that was good, and I hope that you found some sound samples that were helpful for you. What I did earlier, because my tinnitus is relatively mild and it's not so loud, so any of this sound therapy would easily cover my tinnitus. However, what I wanted to do was I tested playing a 4,000 hertz, a very loud, high-pitched tone, and then I was listening to this sound therapy in the background through the AirPods 3. And I found for me the best sound that mixed with the high-pitched tone tinnitus was bright noise, which sounds like this higher pitched white noise. So for me, that mixed with the tinnitus quite well. AirPods 3 has a battery life of about 6 hours, so it's not for full-time use. Hopefully you can supplement this with sound machines, potentially bone conduction headsets, hearing aids, or ear level sound generators. If you want more information on those, I made a full video which you can find by going to the description or clicking the link above my head. Now it's time to talk about hearing loss. How do the AirPods 3 and the AirPods Pro do for someone with hearing loss? Well, the main takeaway here is that the AirPods Pro with the transparency mode are designed to have some hearing aid features. The AirPods 3 do not have transparency mode, therefore they cannot amplify environmental sound, making it easier to hear conversations and speech. For the AirPods Pro, they do block the ear canal, as I said earlier, and that creates the occlusion effect. Now, that might not be a bad thing depending on the hearing test result that you have, but the average adult with hearing loss, they hear pretty well in the low pitch bass tones. And when you hear pretty well in the low pitch bass tones, we do not recommend completely blocking your ear, creating the occlusion effect. That's why hearing aids that are fit have what's called an open fitting in the ear that do not create the occlusion effect. To have the AirPods Pro work as hearing aids, you have to go through your settings and then go to accessibility, followed by audio visual, and then click headphone accommodations. An important feature is that you can upload your own hearing test by either taking a picture, putting in the data yourself, or taking an online hearing test through the Mimi app. Whatever way you check your hearing, you can upload that information into the settings, and that way you're going to have the AirPods Pro customized for the type of loudness you need. Remember, hearing aids are not general amplifiers that make everything louder. Most people need more amplification in the high-pitch treble tones and less amplification in the low-pitch bass tones. My colleagues did some testing on the AirPods Pro, and we're not recommending them for someone who has a moderate to severe level of hearing loss. If you have a mild to moderate degree of hearing loss, then the Apple AirPods Pro could give you the boost that you need. Now, if you're trying to figure this out all on your own, you might get frustrated. You might not be sure if you're doing it exactly right. In that case, we have a team of professionals who are able to help you. So please do reach out to our team if that's something you're interested in. In summary, the AirPods 3 are okay at providing tinnitus sound therapy because they have a semi-open fitting and you can play different forms of sound therapy from your smartphone so you can still hear the ambient sound around you while getting the benefits of tinnitus sound therapy. The Apple AirPods Pro with the transparency mode are optimized for hearing loss and can be custom adjusted by putting in your own audiogram and making adjustments through the settings. The newest iOS 15 has the background sounds feature, where through either of these you can play sound therapy for tinnitus through the settings of your smartphone. And finally, that same iOS 15 update allows you to put in your custom audiogram information and have the audio, speech, and music coming in from your AirPods to be adjusted for your own hearing profile. So even though the AirPods 3 are not hearing aids, they can be adjusted based on someone's hearing loss. My name is Dr. Ben Thompson. I am the founder of Treble Health. We are a telehealth service company that helps you with hearing loss and tinnitus. If you enjoyed this video, please do give it a thumbs up. Consider that a thank you or a light applause. I take note, I appreciate that. And if you're not already, please subscribe to my YouTube channel by finding that red button and joining our community. Thank you so much. On my side, you'll see another video which explains the top tinnitus sound therapy products that I recommend and different ways to use sound therapy based on what technology you have. Thank you so much, and I'll talk to you soon.